November 2nd, 1944. 26,000 feet above the Luna synthetic oil refinery near Merseburg, Germany. The air is thin and viciously cold. Inside the plexiglass bubble of his P-51D Mustang, First Lieutenant Art Coleman can see his own breath ghosting in the frigid air. His world is a symphony of controlled violence. The deep, resonant growl of the Packard Merlin engine in front of him, the slight, constant shudder of the airframe cutting through the upper atmosphere, and the incessant, crackling chatter in his headset. Below, a carpet of broken clouds obscures the ground, but not the mortal drama unfolding. Columns of black smoke claw their way into the sky, marking the bomb runs of the B-17 flying fortresses he has sworn to protect. "Bandits, 3 o'clock high, 3 o'clock high. Looks like a whole damn gaggle of them." The call comes from his squadron leader, Captain Duke Mallory. Art's head snaps to the right, his eyes scanning the blindingly bright sky. He sees them, not just a gaggle, a swarm. Tiny black specks growing larger with terrifying speed, resolving into the snub-nosed, radial-engined profiles of Focke-Wulf 190s, the butcher birds. Art's gloved hand tightens on the spade-gret stick. His heart rate doesn't spike. It settles into a low, heavy drumbeat. While the other pilots of the 357th Fighter Group let out whoops and hollers, their blood up for a fight, Art's mind clicks through a different kind of checklist. Airspeed, 280 indicated. Altitude, 26,500. Ammunition, full load, .5 caliber. He glances at the engine gauges, his eyes lingering on the manifold pressure and RPMs, cross-referencing them with the performance charts he has memorized. For this altitude, for this temperature, he knows the exact optimal power setting for combat maneuvering. He knows it not by feel, but by calculation. "All right, Euclid, you on my wing?" Duke's voice crackles, laced with the usual mix of command and faint condescension. Euclid. That was his call sign. Not killer or ace or hotshot. Euclid, the ancient Greek mathematician. They thought it was a joke. "Affirmative, Lancer lead. On your wing." Art replies, his voice calm, clipped. He remembers the night before in the mess hall at RAF Leaston. Duke had slapped him on the back, nearly spilling Art's coffee over the dog-eared copy of Theodore von Karman's Aerodynamics. "Artie, my boy," Duke had boomed, a grin on his face. "You gotta stop reading those damn books and just fly the plane. Up there, it's all seat of your pants. It's instinct. You feel the enemy, you don't calculate him." The other pilots had laughed. Art had just nodded quietly, turning a page. They saw a bookworm, a mechanic in a pilot's uniform. They didn't see the hours he spent not just reading, but cross-referencing Allied flight test data with couched German technical manuals, building a complex three-dimensional map of performance curves in his head. "Engaging now," Duke yells, and his Mustang peels off, diving toward the first wave of attackers swarming a straggling P-17. "Stick with me, Euclid." Art follows, the G-force pressing him down into his seat. The sky, once vast and empty, is now a chaotic maelstrom of arcing tracers, blossoming flag bursts, and maneuvering aircraft. A B-17 to his left cartwheels out of formation, one wing sheared clean off, a trail of tiny human figures tumbling out into the cold, empty air. Instinct. Duke said it was all instinct, but Art's mind is a cool, clear space amidst the noise. He sees the Focke-Wulf 190s, not as birds of prey, but as collections of variables. He knows their roll rate is superior to his. He knows their initial acceleration in a dive is fearsome, but he also knows their Merlin-equivalent engine, the BMW 801, suffers from performance degradation above 25,000 feet. He knows the precise angle of attack at which their wings will enter an accelerated stall. The fight breaks apart. The main American escort dives on the first wave, a swirling dogfight that descends thousands of feet in seconds. Art sticks to Duke, covering his six. He spots a 190 lining up on his leader, a flash of sunlight on his canopy. He doesn't think. He acts, but his action is born of study. He performs a perfect high G barrel roll, pulling lead on the German fighter and squeezing the trigger. The Mustang shudders as the 6.5 caliber machine guns roar to life, a stream of incandescent lead slicing through the air. The tracers walk right up the Focke-Wulf 190's fuselage, and his engine erupts in a greasy black flame. The German pilot bails out, a small white parachute blossoming against the deep blue. "Good kill, Euclid, good kill! Watch my six!" Duke shouts, already on the tail of another. But when Art pulls his Mustang out of its dive, leveling off to regain his position, he realizes something is terribly wrong. The sky around him is empty. The main furball has descended, a swirling vortex of combat thousands of feet below and miles away. He and Duke have been drawn high and away from the group, and then Duke's voice, frantic. "More bandits. 8 o'clock high.
Oh, son of a... The transmission cuts out. Art whips his head around and sees it. Duke's P-51, trailing smoke, spiraling down, and above it, descending like a pack of sharks that have tasted blood, are not one, not two, but 8 more Focke-Wulf 190s. They are fresh, they are untouched, and they are all turning towards him. The trap has been sprung. He is utterly, completely alone.
The silence in Art's headset is a physical blow. One moment, the sky was a cacophony of American voices, shouts, warnings, triumphs. The next, nothing. Just the low hum of his own radio and the steady roar of his engine. He watches Duke's stricken Mustang fall, a silver comet trailing black smoke, until it is swallowed by the clouds below. No parachute. Then he looks up again. 8 of them. They're coming down from his 8 o'clock position, a staggered, cascading waterfall of death. They belong to an ex-Spartan swarm, a flight of veteran aces, and they move with a predatory grace that makes the hairs on Art's neck stand up. They aren't rushing in wildly. They are deploying, their formation blossoming to surround him, methodically cutting off every possible avenue of escape. 2 are high, providing cover. 2 are moving to flank him on the left, 2 on the right, and the lead pair is dropping directly onto his tail. For the first time, a cold knot of pure primal fear tightens in Art's stomach. Instinct, every nerve ending, every survival impulse honed over 1,000,000 years of evolution screams at him. Run. Dive for the cloud deck. Pray you can outrun them. It's the only sane response. 8 to 1 are not odds. They are a death sentence. But the bookworm in him refuses to panic. His mind, a fortress built of data and discipline, takes over. He forces his breathing to slow. His eyes flick across the canopy, cataloging the enemy. FW-190A8s, the latest model. Up-armored, armed with 4 20mm cannons and 2 heavy machine guns. He can see the yellow cowlings of Jagdgeschwader 26, the best pilots the Luftwaffe has left. They are boxing him in with chilling professionalism. He is the fox, they are the hounds, and the hunt has begun. Lancer lead, this is Euclid, do you read? Lancer flight, does anyone copy? He transmits, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Only static answers. He's too far out, too isolated, no one is coming. The lead German pilot is close enough now that Art can see the black cross on his fuselage. The German waggles his wings, a gesture of supreme, arrogant confidence. It's a taunt. You are ours. The flanking pairs are now level with him, holding position 1,000 yards out on either side, forming the walls of his cage. The high cover pair watches from above. The lead pair closes on his 6. Art pushes the throttle forward to the firewall, feeling the surge of the Merlin engine. He needs speed. Speed is life. But it's not enough. He can't outrun them in a level chase, not with 8 of them coordinating to cut him off. Climbing is suicide. They'd be on him before he gained 1,000 feet, stalling him out and shredding him with cannon fire. The cloud deck below is a tempting sanctuary, but diving into it blind is a gamble. They'd follow him in, and a dogfight in the clouds against a pack with superior numbers would be a disorienting, frantic death. The Germans are patient. They are herding him, pushing him further away from the main battle, further from friendly lines. They are savoring this. Tracers, bright orange and lazy-looking from this distance, arc past his right wing from the flanking pair. Not a serious attempt to hit him, just a reminder, a nudge. We are here. We are everywhere. In his mind, Art sees the pages of a technical manual. He sees a graph. On the x-axis is airspeed. On the y-axis is control surface effectiveness. He sees the smooth, predictable curve for his own P-51. Then he sees the curve for the FW-190. It's a different shape, a far more treacherous one. At lower speeds, it's magnificent. At extreme high speeds, the line plummets. Compressibility. The pilots called it hitting the wall. Air, moving at nearly the speed of sound, ceases to flow smoothly over the wing and control surfaces. It piles up, creating shockwaves that can render the elevators and ailerons completely useless, locking them in place. The FW-190, with its thicker wing profile, was notoriously susceptible to it in a steep, high-speed dive. Pilots had reported the stick feeling like it was set in concrete. Many had dived straight into the ground, unable to pull out. It was a theory, a number on a page, gleaned from a captured FW-190 flight manual, translated poorly by some intelligence officer back in England. Most pilots dismissed it as academic nonsense. You don't think about Mach numbers when a 20mm shell is coming for your head. But Art's brain latches onto it. It's not just a theory. It's a weakness.
a mathematical physical vulnerability hidden within the FW-190's formidable design. A plan begins to form, a desperate, insane gambit that defies every textbook dogfighting tactic. It requires him to do the one thing that seems the most suicidal, to invite the wolves into his cockpit, to not only allow them to get on his tail, but to lead them exactly where he wants them to go. The lead German pilot, tired of the game, closest to firing range. I see the winking lights of his inboard cannons. This is it. Decision time. Instinct screams, brake left, brake right, but his calculations say, go down. Art Coleman takes a final, steadying breath. He looks at the altimeter, 25,000 feet. He looks at his airspeed indicator. Then he shoves the stick forward, hard. The Mustang's nose drops violently, and the world outside his canopy becomes a vertical green and brown blur. He is diving, not away from the enemy, but straight down, with all 8 of them right behind him.
The P-51 plunges into the dive like a thrown spear. The serene blue sky is gone, replaced by the rushing, mottled tapestry of the German countryside below. The engine's roar transforms into a high-pitched banshee scream as the propeller tips flirt with the speed of sound. The G-force shifts, lifting Art against his seat straps, a feeling of weightlessness that is both exhilarating and terrifying. Behind him, he knows, the 8 FW-190s have followed without hesitation. For them, this is the perfect endgame. The Butcher Bird was born for this, the boom and zoom attack. An American pilot panicking and diving was a rookie mistake, a textbook kill. In the cockpit of the lead FW-190, Luftwaffe Hauptmann Klaus Richter allows himself a grim smile. This American is either a fool or a coward. Richter, a 70 victory ace, has seen this a dozen times. The lone pilot, overwhelmed, makes a desperate run for the deck, a fatal error. Richter's FW-190A8 accelerates in the dive even faster than the Mustang, its heavy airframe and powerful radial engine pulling it down with brutal efficiency. He signals his swarm. They fall into a perfect pursuit formation, a staggered line of predators ready to take turns tearing the prey apart if he somehow survives the first pass. But Art Coleman is not panicking. His mind has entered a state of hyper-focus, a place of pure numbers and physics. The world of noise, fear, and violence outside the cockpit fades into a secondary concern. His entire universe is now the instrument panel in front of him. His eyes are locked on 2 gauges, the altimeter and the airspeed indicator. The altimeter needle is unwinding like a broken clock, spinning backwards past 20,000 feet, then 18,000, then 15,000. The ground is coming up fast. The airspeed indicator is his true focus. The needle climbs relentlessly, 350 miles per hour, 400, 450. The aircraft begins to shudder, a deep, resonant vibration that he feels in his teeth and bones. This is the beginning of compressibility's touch, the air growing thick and sticky against his control surfaces. He has to fight the stick just to keep the wings level. He knows the German pilots are feeling it too. Their hands are gripping their own sticks, their planes starting to feel sluggish, unresponsive. 12,000 feet. The airspeed is pushing 500 miles per hour. This is the red line, the speed the manual tells you never to exceed. Alarm bells of self-preservation are screaming in his head. The aircraft is groaning, protesting the immense stress. Every rivet feels like it's about to pop. The ailerons are becoming heavy, almost immovable. It takes all his strength to make even minor corrections. He risks a glance back. They are still there, a string of black crosses, closing the distance. The lead German is almost in firing range. He can see the sunlight glinting off Richter's canopy. He must be thinking this is the easiest kill of his career. The American is frozen, flying straight and level in his dive, a perfect target. 10,000 feet. The air is denser here, the shuddering more violent. The needle on the airspeed indicator is past the red line now, deep into territory where the manufacturer makes no promises. Mach 0.7, Mach 0.72, he is racing toward a very specific number. Not an arbitrary one, but the number he'd found buried in a footnote of a preliminary Allied report on a captured FW-190. The report detailed the onset of severe control stiffening and mock tuck, an unnerving tendency for the nose to drop uncontrollably at a specific combination of altitude and speed. For the FW-190A8, the critical point of no return was theorized to be around Mach 0.75 in the dense air below 10,000 feet. At that speed, the shockwave forming on its tail would effectively paralyze its elevator. The pilot could pull the stick back with all his might and nothing would happen. This is Art's wager.
He is betting his life on a single obscure data point. He is betting that his P-51 with its revolutionary laminar flow wing has a slightly higher critical Mach number than the FW-190s. He is betting that he will retain a few precious ounces of control authority for a few seconds longer than his pursuers. It's a margin of error so thin it is invisible to the naked eye, a difference measured in fluid dynamics and pressure waves. 8,000 feet. The German countryside is no longer a map. It is a terrifyingly detailed landscape of trees, fields, and a small village rushing up to meet him. Richter is on his tail now, lining up the shot. He has him. The American hasn't even tried to evade. He's just a bookworm after all. What does he know of a real dogfight? Richter's thumb moves to the trigger. Art's eyes are glued to the airspeed indicator. The needle quivers. Mach 0.73, Mach 0.74. The entire world has compressed into this single instrument. The noise is deafening, a physical pressure on his eardrums. The vibration threatens to shake the plane apart. He can feel the Mustang fighting him, wanting to tuck its nose and dive straight into the earth. It takes every muscle in his arms and back to hold it steady. 7,000 feet. The needle touches the line. Mach 0.75. Now.
The moment is not one of graceful evasion. It is an act of pure mechanical violence. With the airspeed indicator hitting Mach 0.75 and the ground less than 7 seconds away, Art does not gently pull back on the stick. He hauls it back with every ounce of strength he possesses, simultaneously kicking the left rudder pedal with all his might. It's a maneuver that has no name in the flight manuals, a brutal combination of a maximum G pull-up and a violent snap roll. For a terrifying split second, the P-51 resists. The controls are like lead, the air like concrete. But then, the Mustang's superior aerodynamics give him the fractional advantage he gambled his life on. The elevators bite just barely into the turbulent, compressed air. The aircraft responds. It groans, a sound of tortured metal that seems to fill the cockpit, and begins to pull out of the dive, rolling onto its side as it claws for the sky. The G-force is crushing, unimaginable. The blood drains from Art's head, his vision tunnels into a gray pinprick, and he fights to remain conscious. His Mae West life preserver inflates under the strain, squeezing his chest like a vice. The Mustang is flying on the very edge of its structural integrity. Behind him, chaos erupts. Hauptmann Klaus Winter, his sights perfectly aligned, sees the Mustang suddenly wrench itself out of the dive. His instincts, honed over 3 years of combat, scream at him to follow. He pulls back on his own stick. Nothing happens. It's exactly as the captured manual described, and as Art Coleman had prayed. The stick is frozen solid, locked in place by the immense aerodynamic pressure of the shockwave that has formed over his tailplane. His FW-190, for all its power and menace, has become an unguided 4-ton missile aimed at the heart of Germany. Richter stares in disbelief, a split second of pure intellectual shock replacing his predatory focus. He pulls harder, his muscles straining, a guttural curse on his lips. It's no use. The ground fills his entire windscreen. His last sensation is the sight of a single massive oak tree. The second German pilot in the formation sees his leader fail to pull up. Panicked, he reacts with brute force, throwing his entire body weight against the stick. This is a fatal mistake. While his elevator is locked, his ailerons still have a sliver of effectiveness. His desperate pull translates into an uncommanded, asymmetric roll. The immense stress of the high-speed dive combined with the violent rolling motion is too much for the aircraft. There is a sharp, cracking sound, like a giant snapping a branch. The FW-190's right wing rips clean off at the root, spiraling away into the sky. The rest of the fuselage, now a mangled, unbalanced wreck, tumbles end over end, disintegrating as it falls. The pilots behind them see it all. They see their leader plow into the earth in a brilliant orange fireball. They see their wingman come apart in midair. Their perfect disciplined attack formation shatters into a panicked scramble for survival. 2 of the pilots, reacting a fraction of a second slower, also find their controls locked. They wrestle with their planes, their dives becoming shallower but still uncontrollable, forcing them to overshoot the village and crash land in the fields beyond. Another pilot, seeing the horror unfold, tries a different tactic. Instead of pulling up, he tries to roll out. The FW-190 responds sluggishly, but the maneuver bleeds off just enough speed to break the compressibility lock. He pulls up, his plane shuddering violently, but he is alive. He levels out, his heart hammering against his ribs, and finds himself alone. He looks around wildly. 2 of his comrades are in uncontrolled spins, fighting to recover. Another is trailing smoke, his engine damaged by the extreme stress of the dive. In less than 10 seconds, Art Coleman has not fired a single shot. He has not engaged in a single turn of a traditional dogfight. He has simply used a number on a page, a law of physics, as a weapon.
He has turned the enemy's greatest strengths, their aggression, their discipline, and the raw power of their aircraft, against them. He lured them into a physical trap from which their own machines could not escape. The perfect swarm of 8 veteran aces has been utterly broken, not by bullets, but by an equation. As Art completes his grueling high-G pullout, leveling off at 4,000 feet, his own plane screaming in protest, he looks back at the sky he just vacated. It is a scene of total devastation.
The silence that returns to Art's cockpit is different now. It is not the silence of isolation, but the quiet of survival. His breath comes in ragged gasps. His arms ache with a deep, burning fire from wrestling the Mustang out of its dive. The entire airframe hums with a low, pained frequency, a testament to the incredible forces it has just endured. He can see ripples in the aluminum skin of his wings, a phenomenon known as stress wrinkling. He has pushed his P-51 to its absolute limit, and perhaps a little beyond. He banks the plane gently, his movements slow and deliberate, and surveys the scene below. 2 distinct plumes of black smoke rise from the German countryside, marking the graves of Hauptmann Richter and his wingman. Further on, he sees the glint of wreckage in a field where another FW-190 has belly-landed. Of the other 5, there is no sign. They have scattered, their formation and their will to fight completely shattered. He is alone again, but this time it is a victory. Art runs a cautious systems check. The Merlin engine is still running smoothly, a testament to its robust design. The controls feel sloppy, the plane responding with a fatigue that mirrors his own. He knows the flight back to Leiston will be a tense one. He sets a course west, toward England, flying low to stay off German radar. The adrenaline begins to recede, replaced by a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. He is not jubilant. He is not triumphant. He is simply a man who has looked into the abyss and found a way to climb back out, using a tool no one else thought to bring. The flight over the English Channel is a long, lonely passage over grey water. As the green fields of England appear on the horizon, a sense of relief so powerful it is almost painful washes over him. He calls up the tower at RAF Leiston, his voice hoarse. "Leiston Tower, this is Euclid 79er, returning to base, single ship." There's a pause on the other end, then a surprised voice replies, "Euclid 79er, we had you listed as lost in action. Good to hear your voice. The field is yours." He brings the battered Mustang in for a landing. It's not graceful. The plane feels heavy and unresponsive, and he fights it all the way down, but the touchdown is safe. As he taxis toward his hardstand, he can see the ground crew gathering, staring at his aircraft. They can see the damage, the wrinkled skin, the pocked rivets along the wing roots. They know this plane has been through hell. He shuts down the engine, and the sudden, total silence is deafening. He sits for a long moment, the scent of hot oil and glycol filling the cockpit, his hands still gripping the controls. Finally, he unbuckles his harness and climbs out, his legs unsteady on the tarmac. His crew chief rushes up, his face a mixture of awe and concern. "Lieutenant, what in God's name happened? We heard you were bounced by a whole squadron." "Something like that, Sergeant," Art says quietly. He walks toward the debriefing hut, the walk of a man carrying an immense weight. Inside, the surviving pilots of his squadron are gathered. They turn as he enters, their faces etched with shock. Captain Duke Mallory is not among them. The squadron has taken heavy losses. A pilot Art shared breakfast with that morning is gone forever. The reality of it hits him harder than the G-forces of the dive. The intelligence officer sits him down, a cup of steaming coffee in his hands. "Lieutenant Coleman, your flight leader reported you were engaged by 8+ bandits before he went down. We wrote you off. What happened?" Art takes a slow sip of the coffee. He looks around the room at the faces of the other pilots, the instinct flyers who had mocked his books. He sees no mockery now. He sees only confusion and a dawning respect. He doesn't give them a story of heroism or daring. He speaks in the calm, measured tones of a lecturer. "They boxed me in," he begins. "Escape in a climb or a level run was impossible. The only option was a vertical dive." One of the other pilots, a brash captain named Miller, scoffs. "A dive? Against a pack of 190s? That's suicide. They'd eat you alive." "Ordinarily, yes," Art replies, his gaze unwavering, "but not if you take them past their critical Mach number. The FW-190A8 experiences severe elevator lockup at approximately Mach 0.75 below 10,000 feet. The P-51D's limit is slightly higher, maybe Mach 0.78, Mach 0.8. It gives you a small window, maybe 2 seconds, of maneuverability that they simply don't have." He reaches into his flight bag and pulls out a worn chart, spreading it on the table. He points to a specific intersection of lines.
right here. At this altitude and this airspeed, they can follow you down, but they can't follow you out. Their formation, their discipline, their aggression, it all works against them. They are committed to the pursuit and can't abort. It's just physics. The room is silent. The pilots stare at the chart, then back at Art. They aren't looking at the Bookworm anymore. They are looking at a survivor, a man who faced impossible odds and defeated, and not with aggression, but with knowledge. He had rewritten their unwritten rules, proving that in the cold, unforgiving laboratory of the sky, the most powerful weapon was not instinct, but intellect. The equation had mattered more than the gun.